Okay, so Rehlko, the acquisition of the Wilmott Group makes you, I think, one of the few OEMs offering what I'd say is true end-to-end energy resilience in the EMEA region. Um, what strategic gaps does the deal close for Rehlko, and I guess how does it fit into the company's broader global growth roadmap?
That's a great question. Of course, it's a very pertinent question based on the significant acquisition of the Wilmott Group in the UK. I think, Philip, the issue we're trying to solve for the market and ourselves is really speed to power, right? One of the main challenges of these infrastructure projects is to be able to, ramp up extremely quickly. We've seen in Europe so far, maybe more traditional, computing, traditional data. AI is coming, if nothing else, that will increase the rate at which we need to ramp up. And the ability to control your supply chain from, components to product to installation, commissioning, everything that happens on the site, modularize that in the best way possible to minimize the time on site for the technicians, installation teams, and then leading into servicing the equipment end to end. We believe it offers great flexibility and speed to market to our customers, the data center industry. So that's really the rationale of buying our distribution. That Wilmott in the UK. We already have our own direct subsidiaries, of course, in France, in Germany, in Spain, and we'll see what the future holds. But that gives us a very good footprint to provide this end-to-end solution in the key European markets.
Okay, and in terms of integrating the Wilmott Group, and I'm assuming that includes subsidiaries like WB Power Services and was it Wiltec Acoustics? I mean, how do you think that will reshape Relco's your competitiveness in the European data center market, which is you've already explained, it's expanding mainly thanks to the AI explosion.
Well, I think our unique selling proposition in that is our ability to integrate the pieces, right? Put the generators in the box of your choice with the sound level, the emissions of your choice, make sure it is designed in a modular way so that your e-pods with whatever you want in your electrical pods, it's UPS, it's transformers, it's high voltage gears, it's basic low voltage distribution switch gears. We have the ability with that acquisition to provide a solution, a total energy solution outside the data center wall, right? And we have the ability to test that to very high level of testing outside of the data center itself. When all of these boxes that will remain tailored, they will remain ad hoc to your need as a data center, but we have the opportunity to take all these boxes, all these components offsite, make sure that the industrialization process is done in terms of their connectivity, and it really saves a lot of time and money on site, and of course brings an extra level of reliability that we know is important to the data center industry. So, uh, speed to market, modularizations and ease of connectivity and reliability on site. This is kind of our unique selling proposition as you're thinking about that integration with the Wilmott Group.
And in terms of customers, what are they all noticing, or will they notice in the future in terms of the benefits, for them? You mentioned faster project delivery, improved reliability. I don't know whether life cycle costs will come down. In what ways do you think customers will be, saying,
Well,
okay,
they've noticed, we're not in the business of naming customers in the
sure, no,
show,
no,
so that's not what I will do. But
yeah.
we have our first early successes of that acquisitions, with complete solutions, so both gensets and e-pods and a complete installation, commissioning, and service. So, what they're noticing, I think it's very easy. It's the confidence to deal with a sizable partner, that has the financial footprint for to guarantee the execution of these large deals. I will not tell you, Philip, this data center infrastructure becomes much more than it ever was in terms of megawatts, hundreds of megawatts, and everybody's talking gigawatts. So you need a very solid financial backbone to be able to support this project. So we bring that to the table, and we bring that to the table whilst being one throat to choke, right? We are, we can't follow our customers all the way through their project and after. And so if you combine that with all the things I was saying earlier, that modularizations and speed of deployment, that's really an attractive combinations. And we've seen a couple of our customers that have opted for that in, I'm going to say, in the last 6 to 8 weeks. So we're very excited about that.
Okay, and one of the things around mergers is often the integration of two different teams and maybe slightly different cultures. So are there any sort of practical steps you're taking to help maintain the sort of the engineering excellence and the characteristics of the in each separate company, but also sort of bringing them together to operate as a coherent whole, if that makes sense?
We often say at Rehlko, look, the only thing we do is in energy. We're not in any other form of infrastructure that energy. By the way, we're in the gas energy as well deployment through Clark Energy, for example. We're in active a little bit in the UPS markets as well. So we're in all form of energy, but we were a little bit before an energy supplier from a product standpoint on the power system side of the equations. Now we're providers of energy solutions on site. So the winning formula for us to find is a great quality of product with great power density. You need to squeeze as much power as you can of your engines, and make them reliable and emission ready and AI ready for your customers. They need to be able to get the load and to provide as product. And then that's great, but that doesn't work if you don't have the flexibility to actually deploy that on any sites our customer needs. So what we bring, Rehlko in that marriage, if you want, is kind of that deep attention to product quality and execution. And what Wilmott brings to the equation is that flexibility to reply to customers' need on site. And yeah, I will be lying if there are not a few things that we will be learning and are learning from each other in that journey, right? But that's kind of that learning is very necessary to deliver the value to our customers. So that's work well in progress.
Well, that's great. And so in terms of the energy resilience industry, it's obviously evolving rapidly in terms of sustainability, decarbonisation. Are there any ways in which this acquisition sort of helps Rehlko to accelerate your ability to support greener and more efficient data center operations?
Yeah. Well, clearly, and I will side the broader Rehlko here even. I think one of the most important challenge of the data center industry is really access to energy at the permitting time, and then speed to power. Right. And if you think about Rehlko portfolio beyond that acquisitions, with our I'm going to say our HVO generators, because as you might know, we were one of the first ones to actually introduce HVO ready generators for all sizes, for all the markets. With our after treatment solutions or SCRs, as you may want to know them, with our gas fuel generators that can provide peak shavings if you're lacking the utility in the first place. And then with our ability to introduce the electrical equipment, we are in the position to work a complete optimized power plant that minimizes, to the best of our ability, to the best of the technology ability, but the emissions on site, right? So we're confident that this is a viable solution for our customers, even from the days of permitting and peak shaving through the days of resiliency. The last point of that, I would say we've also worked a lot on our service requirements and how much you really need to test these generators with or without load in static mode and in running position to really trying to minimize our impact to the environment through our smart care program. So yeah, I think we're really well positioned to provide that cohesive, again, A to Z or complete solution, including the minimizing the impact to our environment.
Okay, and in terms of, I think you've already said, but just to restate, the Wilmott Group has sort of deep expertise when it comes to backup power and acoustics. Rehlko, you're known for advanced energy resilience solutions, and you've obviously got some expanded manufacturing and service capabilities with the acquisition. I'm just wondering, are there particular examples that you can share or at least hint at in terms of how the combined expertise can integrate to provide new solutions for data centers, whether it's sort of modular power, hybrid energy integrate, just anything you can share as to how you see the power of the two, moving forwards for innovation.
So yeah, absolutely. I'm going to refer to one of our early success. It's a data center project that will encompass several hundred megawatts in Europe. And and if you think about the way, I'm going to talk about the way we used to do it and the way we're going to do it now, right? We used to, us Rehlko provide a generator to a separate entity called our distributor that would get that generator in a package. That distributor would actually be in touch with um, kind of UPS suppliers, potentially of various nature, would be in touch with some switchgear suppliers of various natures. We're doing switchgear in-house as well. And and subcontract some of the work to them or add the product to them. And then in very rare occasions, actually, this grouping would go as one project to the end customer to deliver the project. So that project would be cut in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different supply buckets, right? And then, of course, the coordination on site becomes a huge issue because you've purchased in silos all your components. There's a lot of work that always go into make sure these pieces work together, in any data center, right? But what we're able to do today is we're able to take all these various components, we're able to maximize the things we build in-house as Rehlko, right? And we're able to come to a customer with a pre-approved solution. And that's a huge thing, right? And we back it up financially, and we back it up through our performance guarantees that we provide, right? And that's really a game changer to be able to go to the customer with a pre-developed solution, pre-validated technically, with a very significant of numbers of components that are from the Rehlko supply ecosystem, right? That's a real. We found that's a game changer in terms of being able to win the large contracts I was mentioning. And
Okay.
I believe Philippe, I think it resolved really one of their questions, right? In terms of, if you can do all that coordination, all that legwork for me, I can spend more of my time worrying about my business, which is kind of how do I land a tenant and how do I actually make money in the data center industry, right? And so we found that was a very, very important leverage point for us.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And obviously, I mean, perhaps following on from the Wilmott Group, it's got decades of engineering expertise. Are there particular ways, other than what you maybe already explained, that Relco is going to leverage that sort of knowledge base to sort of strengthen its own sort of technical leadership?
Absolutely. You're mentioning acoustic capabilities. I think this is something we can use all across Europe, right? Not necessarily only where they're based in the UK. We were discussing the integration capabilities through the ePods and all the electrical components in the box. That's also something we can leverage in other parts of our manufacturing footprint. Including where I sit today in Brest in France. So 100%, right? We're taking at least a European view to the data center market with our European footprint. As the players are truly European these days. They don't operate in one European countries. They develop projects in all the European countries, and it's not even exactly right what I'm saying, because a lot of these players are actually true global players and they actually play on a very global landscape, right? Even if sometimes you have slightly different rules of engagements and different regulations in Europe and in the UK. But yeah, really, we want to leverage that integration expertise throughout the Rehlko group. And on the same time, we want to drive more engineering, more engineering processes into the Wilmott organization to even improve our quality and our delivery. Yeah.
Okay, and maybe just in finishing to look ahead a little bit, be good to have your thoughts as to how you see the role of energy resilience evolving when it comes to data center design and I guess operation, and maybe just again positioning yourselves, Relco and Wilmot, how well positioned you are to help with that transformation.
If you interact with our data center, customers or ecosystem today, there's probably nothing more important for them than to secure the right energy at the right price. Right? It's a start of everything. We've seen many strategies developed to actually have access to energy available. We believe there's nothing more important to be able to assist your customer in the data center market with their sources of energy. And you were talking about resilience. I will also say about, at the time of permitting, we see increasing demands for, temporary power. When I say temporary, it could be 6 months, 12 months, a year, and several years sometimes before the utilities could show up. We're equipped through the Clark Energy organizations and our access to gas generators to provide these services. And then we're equipped, when the data center program is on the way, to make sure this is resilient 100%. And resilient, the hunger for energy in the world is not going to make the networks more stable. It will likely make the networks less stable in the future. And resilience is key to operations, in this data world, right? So I think we're at a time where we see several years of very good perspective for this business because again, I think the network stability is going to remain a topic, right, for the near future.
Well, thank you so much for giving me some time today. Brilliant to understand the process of Wilmott Group and yourselves, Relco, coming together. And thank you for sharing the insights into the work you're doing and also your thoughts on the data center industry a little bit more generally. So really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Philip. Nice talking to you today.